I guess my first question is, what do you consider good design? In your own words, like how do you look at something and know, like, that's really good design?
If it accomplishes its objective and it's well done, cleverly.
It's got to stand out. You don't want it to look like something anybody else has done before, but at the same time it needs to be not so different that people don't get it.
So where do y'all both get inspiration whenever you're coming up with different designs for logos or different identities and stuff?
That's hard because it's so varied. You're always trying to find common denominators between disparate objects or things. And so, I mean, you're searching your memory banks, you're looking at, when you're looking at, for example, things, are you talking about just solving it? Or, things like color? I might be in a store and look at a whole, display of ties or something. It varies.
Can you give me an example from some of the logos that you've done?
An
behind
example
you?
Of what specifically what?
Of kind of merging a creative idea with something that's relevant with like that business or...
Well, hopefully all of them do it to some extent.
like the Gary pools behind you?
That one's kind of a simple one for you to see. It's right there so you can film it. It's, that was just taking the idea of obviously the initial of the company, and then if you lay it flat and fill it in, it had the shape of a pool. So it's doing as little as possible to something that you already know to make you see it as something else. You're looking at a G, but for a moment, because of the context, you see it as a pool.
But isn't there usually, there's almost always, in the really great ones, there's something of a sight gag almost that's going on where they see something that almost sneaks up on them. Like once they look at it twice, all of a sudden they say, oh wow,
Sometimes.
I didn't see that before.
Sometimes that's appearance and not always. I was trying to look for another one. Good design in our opinion is, or in my opinion, I guess I can't speak for Tony, but I think he'll back me up, is when, we don't come up with new things. Our job is to get viewers to see things they see every day because we're speaking in a visual language, so it has to be one that they understand. So we're using a language that they already understand, but they're seeing it different or differently. I was trying to think of another example. Well, here's one. Several. This one, for example, was for a weight loss program. And the name of it was Easy Inch Loss. And so inherent in the tape in and of itself was the letter E. But if you're looking at a tape under normal circumstances, you wouldn't think, oh look, there's an E. So in that kind of context, you get it to do that. There's another one that's, this is the kind of stuff that looks simple, it's difficult to do, but it's Oak Hills Periodontics, and so you not only have hills and oaks, you have teeth and gums. So you're finding common denominators.
So what advice do y'all have to graphic designers that want to become better?
They want to become better?
Yeah, that want to improve on their graphic design skills.
The first thing they need to do better is to listen. If you don't understand what it is that the client's trying to do, what they're trying to accomplish through the design that you're doing, then it really doesn't matter how clever the design is. If it doesn't hit their objectives and it doesn't push the client forward, then you're not going to get anywhere. And that's, frankly, I think that's a hurdle that most designers have to get over really early. They think, I'm going to come up with a really cool design, but they don't really think, does it really solve a problem, or is it just a cool image?
I agree. Listening's probably the number one thing you can learn to do well. Most people are not good listeners. They're dysfunctional listeners. Yeah, I know. I forgot. Most people either, dysfunctional listening is when you hear the first part of what somebody else is saying, and then you've already come to the conclusion of what you think they're going to say, and so you're not really listening. And sometimes that's where the little jewels are, things that clients say. You got to listen between the lines sometimes, and just be observant. It's about seeing. That's what all this is about.